Hey everyone, hi writers and readers, and welcome to a Friday night live stream. I don't do this very often, but I think it's really fun to do just a live stream about something that interests me. And I've done this before with different articles and things that I read about writing in the publishing industry. And I really enjoy talking about it live even more than pre-recorded. So today's topic has to do with the indie gold rush. And I think it's interesting because I hadn't actually heard that term before. So first of all, I'm going to read you this Twitter thread that I came across. It's an interesting one. I'm not going to necessarily say, who the person is that posted it, just because you never know if somebody could feel really negative about it and want to say something negative. So I'd prefer not to put the name out there, but I'm just going to read the thread, and I think it starts a really interesting discussion. So, first of all, I hope you guys are having a great Friday because it's Friday and yay weekend. So maybe you guys will have time to write, maybe you will have time to read, and maybe you'll just have time to hang out. I know I've been doing like one video a month for a little bit, but I did just get a new camera, so I will be learning more about it this weekend, and hopefully I'll be able to get a little bit more on track with the YouTube videos. So I'm really excited about that. Halloween Hell Week with the Dark Realm Diaries is coming up, so that's going to be fun. And of course, the Writer's Edge. And so there's a lot of great stuff going on that I am really excited about. So let's get into this. Okay. Let me read the Twitter thread just as is. I'm not going to do any commentary until the end so you guys can hear it. The person says, I see quite a few bits where authors in the genre are talking about feeling guilty for not writing enough. Don't. Embrace instead the stuff you do manage and the things you manage on top of everything else, chores, kids, partner, pets, etc. Writing is always on top of the other stuff. Like life. I have days when taking a shower and cooking a meal is all I can manage after work. The truth is the gold rush of the genre is over. The highest earners are author collectives producing a book a week under a shared name. Nobody can compete against that. You could obviously join another collective and play the same game, but I feel very meh about that. If that works for you, great. So the old rules reapply. Stay sane, stay healthy, work at a sustainable level, enjoy life, smell the flowers, and be kind to yourself. In very short words, you are not a machine. There's a life outside. Take up a hobby, learn something new, get a massage, meet new friends. And that's the end of it. And he had like a few responses. He had some likes and retweets and things like that. So I think that this person is bringing up a really interesting point. And like I said, I hadn't really heard the term indie author gold rush before. So the first thing I did, of course, was look that up. And I found that it could mean a couple of things, actually. And for the most part, I found that it is actually referring to the time when, towards the beginning, like around 2011, when indie authors were first putting up their books on Kindle. Apparently, there was a time when you could just put up a book on Kindle, and I guess, I don't know if people didn't really know the difference between an indie author and a traditionally published author or what the deal was, but indie author reputations weren't really established yet. This is like what I was seeing in my research. And so you could just plop something online and it would sell. And it didn't really require as much marketing or anything along those lines. So it was like a whole other thing, and that's why it was called a gold rush. And I do have an article from the Washington Post that is actually called Novel Rejected. There's an ebook gold rush, and it is from 2011, which is the exact time period that I had seen other places referring to as well. So I've seen a few different articles saying, is there still an indie gold rush or is it over? And I think it's a really interesting question because the time of when you could just plop something online and, just on Kindle and just assume it's going to sell a lot, I think that is probably over. It's probably going to be pretty rare that you put up a book and don't do anything and don't really tell anybody and it sells. I can leave below. I'll plop this into I'm using the word plop a lot because it's in this article. So I'm going to put this, I don't know if it's going to let me, but I'm going to put this into the chat. I don't think it actually links, just, oh, actually it did. And afterwards, I'll make sure that I put it in the description as well. So if we think of the gold rush that way, as in just putting something online, doing no marketing, doing no work, it happens to sell, you make a living out of it. I think that that's rather unusual these days. But I do think that it is entirely possible for you to still make a living off of writing if you put in tons of effort, if you are paying close attention to what genres are popular or where there's a gap, if you do the marketing, if you do a lot of the work that you're supposed to do. Then we have people like Joshua Robertson who are succeeding at this being a career. We have people like Hannah Peach / Sienna Blake who are making a career out of this. Olga Vianney. There are definitely names out there who have done it. I know Joanna Penn has done it. I don't remember when she started, but the people I'm mentioning definitely started well after 2011. This was not just a, let me just put something online and hope that it sells effort from them. I know that these people were either ahead of their time in terms of getting newsletters out there, like before it was super popular, or whatever, they're good at marketing, they're paying attention, stuff like that, and they're doing it. So it's definitely possible. And the one thing that I don't want people to think is that you can't make a career out of it. I wouldn't count on it. Like, I would definitely have your day job, keep it, use that money to do what you want to do with indie publishing, self-publishing, whatever you want to achieve. But I would hate to see somebody see the gold rush is over, which is being posted in a lot of places, and see them not go after their dreams. So I think one of the really good points that's being made by this person on Twitter is to really enjoy your life and not feel so guilty about missing a day of writing, which I think a lot of us beat ourselves up about, and I think it's totally common. But it can really hurt our creativity, it can hurt our self-esteem, and it can lead to just feeling really sad or low or hating your day job when you might not have otherwise hated your day job. So somebody had replied to this person who put out the thread and had said, I feel that guilt on a regular basis. I love writing. I want to be able to do it I want to be doing it for the rest of my life, but being dragged away to the day job makes me feel bad as I'm not writing. So I wanted to sort of give my take on how that used to work for me. And I have definitely felt that in the past. I used to really sort of mourn the fact that I had a day job and that I was not writing full time, and that's really what my dream is. And I so wanted that. And so many people do, of course. And everybody has a dream that they wish they could achieve and do whatever it is 24/7. And it can definitely feel painful at times. I did a video at some point, maybe it was 2 years ago. It was called Restless Writer Syndrome, and you can look it up on my channel. And I was feeling that a lot, where I was sort of I just want to get out of my job so I can write. And I was feeling like I can't get the creativity out fast enough. And, sometimes that happens. And there's just not a whole lot you can do except start taking voice notes, and that helps you just take notes faster. Make sure you write things down when they come to you, regardless of the situation. Just jot them down. But even so, we can all get those times where we're sort of oh, I really wish that this was my full-time job. I really want to be creative, and it's hurting me a little bit. It just feels a little bit painful. But what I found, and I'm hoping this will help some of you, is that the more I stressed over it, the more upset I got, the more I thought, I really need to be a full-time author. I really need to be a full-time author, and was really just wishing and wishing instead of just focusing on being creative in general. The more I sort of disliked my full-time job and felt like I was fighting it, and that was bad. It really led to some seriously negative feelings. It led to further disinterest. And it was sort of it just fed into my unhappiness at the time. And it wasn't like my whole life was unhappy or something, but I definitely felt that whole thing of I really should be doing this full time. I have to get there. This is so upsetting, so upsetting, so upsetting. Instead of sort of looking at my full-time job and saying, okay, well, I'm making money, I'm surviving, I'm making enough money to be able to put it into, my writing career. Another thing that I think is really important is to think of it as a writing career. A lot of people don't think of themselves as authors until they're published. You are an author, you're writing, and that's the most important part. As long as you keep writing and keep going after that goal, you're already 20 steps ahead. And just sort of thinking of it as a career, like this is a lifetime choice. I'm going to be writing forever. I've already published 2 books. I've published short stories. I've been published in literary journals, stuff like that. You can do that on the side. And it's hard sometimes when you've got too much to do, but just keep doing it as you can. It's when you start pushing really, really hard and really wearing yourself out, burning out, and then thinking to yourself, either I'm a failure because I'm not writing enough, or I'm not happy because I'm not writing enough and my full-time job is getting in the way. I find that sometimes the words that we sort of use to think about this stuff can be hurtful inside. And this is actually, I recently went to a positivity, there was a positivity speaker at Sisters in Crime, which is a mystery writers group. And it's at least national, if not international. But it was Peggy Yeagley, I believe that was her name. Sorry if I get it wrong. Yeager, well, either way, I'll post her down below afterwards. And she was saying, and this was a really good point, if you are really looking towards a goal, and of course you should always have goals, it's important. And it's also very important to set realistic goals, and you can only find out what's realistic by trying. So anyway, it's important to have goals, set realistic goals, have dreams, all of that stuff is so important. But she was saying, if you have this dream, if you have this goal and you're looking towards it and that's like all you see and you just block out everything else and don't enjoy it, like you're just rushing through everything and sort of ignoring what's going on around you and like the things that you do outside of that goal or dream, you're just sort of like, ugh, what a pain. She made the point that by the time you do reach that goal and that dream, it can feel kind of empty because you've missed so much along the way that even though you've achieved it, it's just sort of an empty achievement. I mean, look at all you've lost. Look at all you've missed. And maybe, you know, so, not everybody's going to feel that way, but it is a possibility if you push too much aside. And I actually found myself doing that. I found myself saying, okay, well, here's this event that I really look forward to, and yet I'm just sort of like, it's just another thing that's going to take me away from my writing. I'm so frustrated. I'm so upset. And it's harder to enjoy that thing you were so looking forward to, or that thing that seems exciting. And then you're there and you're like half in it. And then when you like go home from it, you're sort of like, I didn't even enjoy that. I didn't even enjoy it. You know, like what was the point? And then if you start cutting that stuff out, you just sort of lose more and more enjoyment. And one of the things I stopped doing that, right? And so now, like when I look at these times when I'm going to be out for an entire day at an event and I'm excited about it, I say, that's great. You know, I'm going to do what writing I can. And that's that. That's that. I'm not going to upset myself anymore. I'm not going to stress anymore. And I'm just going to enjoy what I'm doing. And if I think of an idea while I'm out, I'm going to take notes on it, you know? And it's not like the writing disappears. I did do a video on my channel talking about how you can train yourself for creativity and how you should make yourself uncomfortable. It was a NaNoWriMo video. It was about gaining creativity from your discomfort and basically going out and forcing yourself to write in uncomfortable places and positions so that you can write anywhere. And that is very, very freeing. But that has to go hand in hand with being able to enjoy yourself in the moment, which I know that there have been so many things, you know, talking about different articles, different videos and stuff like that, saying you need to be more in the moment. And it's so true. And I didn't really understand it until I realized that everything I looked forward to, I like sort of hated at the same time when I was doing it. And I was missing out on so much. And like recently I was starting to get these interesting opportunities at work. I was starting to note at my full-time job, and I was starting to notice like, okay, well, I'm being given this opportunity and I'm automatically hating it. I'm automatically just like, this is horrible. And then if I sit down and I say, yeah, but if I take writing out of the equation, let's just pretend I had nothing else going on in my life except my full-time job. How do I feel about it? And I really let myself be honest. And I was like, I actually am really excited about this opportunity. This is not such a bad thing. I'm really happy about it. This is fabulous. And so I started to really get what Peggy Yeagley was saying. and the fact that you have to allow yourself to enjoy these other things, that you have to, and that's exactly what this guy is saying in his Twitter thread. You have to allow yourself to enjoy time with your family, doing hobbies, and not think of them as just getting in the way. You have to be able to separate those things. And I feel like this is sort of one of those, I hate to say lifetime battles, but it's one of those things that I feel like you relapse over time. And, you know, there are going to be times where you're just like, oh, I'm so frustrated. Like, all I want to do is write, and I hate that this or that is getting in the way. And you're going to relapse, and you probably need to take the time to just say, okay, let me back off from this and just relax. And we have Amber Sage in the chat. Thank you so much for coming, Amber. And she's saying, yeah, live in the moment. It's really important. Mindfulness will give you a fuller, happier life, and attitude and perspective are everything. And that is 100% right. And I'm learning that more and more. And I feel like I had a harder time understanding it before I really forced myself to experience it and realize what a big deal it is. But the one thing I just want to warn you guys against is, like, just because this gold rush for indie authors may or may not be over, don't count writing as something that is impossible. Don't count it as like not part of your dreams. Instead, integrate it in a healthy way that makes you happy. And if you notice that you're not happy in the rest of your life, maybe think about, why am I putting too much pressure on myself? Am I not doing enough writing? Am I not putting the time aside? Is that what's upsetting me? Or is it that I'm actually putting, like, I hate to say too much time aside, but like I'm focused so much on it that I can't enjoy anything else. And it does take a little bit of introspective and just, you know, introspection, and really just letting yourself feel and subtracting other things from the equation and just letting yourself feel and being totally honest with yourself. So I just thought that this guy brought up a really interesting point, and I wanted to review it with you guys and see what you guys thought about it. And I know that a lot of people will be viewing this afterwards instead of during the hangout, but the live stream. And like, that's totally fine. Leave your comments down below. I definitely want to hear what you think. And if you felt this kind of pressure, if you've gone into like a sad place, not necessarily like clinical depression or anything, but just feeling really low, really sad, really drained, exhausted, or like you don't like writing as much when you push so hard that you are really stressing yourself out. That's, again, something that you can control. And I used to think that you couldn't. And I'm really learning now. And I'm on this journey currently. And I think we all will be for like ever once we start it. But I'm really learning a lot about it. The more that I work on it, the more I focus on it. Definitely in a happier place now that I'm not resisting everything just so I can feel like I'm moving forward in my writing. And you know what? My writing is going smoother. I'm finding that I know what I'm interested in writing at that moment, like where the inspiration hits. I'm feeling less sort of like clogged up, like, oh, but I really wanted to write that because that's what I want to publish next, and like I better work on that. Like, no, okay, if I think of something that goes with a short story I started and it wasn't what I was planning on publishing next, I'm just going to write it instead and not stress about it. And that's how I ended up publishing my alternate ending to Cinderella on Wattpad recently, which achieved the goal that I wanted I have been wanting for so long, like literally years before I published, before I even published Anatomy of a Darkened Heart. I was dying to publish on Wattpad, and I just couldn't find the right thing. And now that I let myself relax and I was like, okay, I'm really inspired to do this right now, I'm just going to do it. I was really able to just do it. And I was able to finish it, and I was able to refine it and put it up. And look, I achieved something more by relaxing. We have someone else. Hi, Marley. She is saying that relapse happens so often for me. Thank you for sharing your experience with it. I'm really happy to. I believe we should take writing as a cycle, sometimes easy and sometimes stressful. I'm glad you're having a nicer time with your writing. Yeah, thank you so much, Marley. And I agree, like that relapse is, I know that it's going to happen, and that's okay. There's nothing to be upset about when it happens. It's just the way it's going to be. And it definitely is a cycle, just like you're saying. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm really happy with the way things are going. And sometimes you're just like, oh my God, I really just want to quit everything and write, That's okay. It's not like, you can't expect yourself to be perfect and positive all the time. So thank you guys who were able to join for this live stream. It was awesome hearing your opinions. And if you are watching this afterwards, let me know what you think in the comments section. Let me know what your strategies are. And like I said, if you've gone through this before, definitely share your story. I think it's really interesting. And we're in a day and age where we have to really focus on focusing, kind of, because we're always multitasking. We're always trying to do everything and get everything done and achieve all of our goals. And sometimes you do need to, I feel like the phrase slow down is now like sort of frowned upon almost. And slowing down is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're not achieving anything. It means maybe more just focusing on one thing or another. Hi, Jason. So, it's not a bad thing. And we should definitely take the negative connotation of slowing down, like just take that negative feeling out of it and realize it doesn't mean you're lazy. It means that you're taking the time to focus on one thing or another thing. And sometimes that has to be relaxing. Sometimes you're on the verge of a burnout. I've definitely been through burnout before. It is way worse than just being stressed, and it takes time to recover from, and it can lead to like a breakdown, and it's not worth it. It's just not worth it, guys. So take the time to sit down and relax and play your favorite video game, or like sleep in, or go walk in nature, and don't allow yourself to feel that whole, I'm not connected, I'm not doing something right now. Just really relax and allow yourself to feel that. Like I said, it's a journey and I'm on it, and I want to take you guys with me, and we're all doing it together. We're all writers. And, even if you're a reader and you are overloaded with books you want to read and review, if you're a blog or YouTube or whatever, it's kind of the same thing. You don't want to lose your love for reading just because you're pushing too hard. So I hope this is useful for you guys. And again, thank you so much for everybody who came. And I look forward to doing more live streams like this when I discover something that I really want to talk about. So I will see you soon. And as always, thank you so much for spending time with me.